The Raise Summit, an event bringing together some of the world's most influential minds in artificial intelligence, kicked off hours ago from the Louvre in Paris. John Furrier, co-CEO of SiliconANGLE and theCUBE, is going to join us on the ground to break down the biggest headlines of the event. Plus, NYSE-listed WisdomTree rang the closing bell yesterday to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of its yield-enhanced U.S. aggregate bond fund. I sat down with Kevin Flanagan, head of fixed income strategy at WisdomTree, to learn more about the product and why this anniversary is so special. Then at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, another NYSE-listed firm, CoreCivic, is set to ring the opening bell to kick off the trading day. The company's on hand to celebrate its 10-year anniversary of its commitment to re-entry success by helping residents rebuild lives and restore futures. Going to head down to the trading floor near the end of the show, where the CEO, Damon Heininger, is going to tell us more about his company's re-entry programs and why it's important to set specific goals around them. Earlier today, the Raise Summit kicked off from one of the most iconic locations in one of the world's most iconic cities. That's the Louvre in Paris. The summit aims to bring together visionary builders, tech giants, regulators, and policy leaders who are helping shape the future with AI. Now, the summit, which was first held in 2023, includes everything from startup competitions and hackathons to keynote speakers and panels. John Furrier, co-CEO of SiliconANGLE and theCUBE, is on the ground in Paris, where he joins me now. John, great to have you on the show this morning and set the scene for us at the Raise Summit in Paris.
Hi, Kristen. Thanks for having me. It's great. We've been live all morning at day one, kicking off. Michael Harris, Vice Chairman, NYSE, is here. Brian Bauman, Tim Robinson, the whole NYSE Wired team, theCUBE, of course. It's been quite an event. It's really literally packed. You got AI builders, you got an international audience, a lot of potential IPOs coming from outside the United States back into the US is a big story here. Of course, the AI momentum and the opportunities and growth we're seeing. We had Turing just on, we had Snowflake and an NYSE company on earlier. Just an absolute mix of entrepreneurs and leaders who are actually changing the future. So it's been quite an excitement. And I got to say, the NYSE global presence is felt here in a big way.
I'm sure it is indeed. I know theCUBE and SiliconANGLE plus NYSE Wired. You've got back-to-back coverage, John, as you've been explaining there. What are some of the key takeaways that you've had so far?
I think the big story is getting AI into production. We're seeing a massive investment in the past year, and even still going on from the venture capital community, private equity, and as the financial markets change as well with crypto and robotics coming onto the scene super fast, you're seeing entrepreneurial activity at an all-time high. And the biggest story here is agents. Are agents going to make it in production? And is the data available for competitive advantage? And that is the top story, from startups to the leaders, making data work for you. We had Naveen Rao from Databricks on, talking about how the script has been flipped. The old way of doing things is changing to a new way, and that's the consistent theme here, and that's going to spur tons of growth.
What is the location, Paris and the Louvre, of course? I mean, the Louvre is beautiful, but Paris in particular, what does that bring to the table in terms of the conversations and the access that you're getting on the ground?
Well, you're seeing a global appetite. So obviously in France, it's got a European flavor to it, but sovereign cloud is a big story here. You're starting to see the infrastructure enabling value creation, and that's going to open up massive extraction. So on the international scene, that opens up the aperture to new kinds of companies that we've never seen before, new names, new brands. They're emerging fast. And again, the startups, it doesn't take a lot to get going, so they are also leading the story. So it's not just what the leaders are doing, not the next IPOs, but what's the IPOs after them. So you're starting to see a funneling of new companies and new startups. So I think that, to me, is the big story. It's a Cambrian explosion of opportunity.
Yeah. Are you finding that companies are open to tapping the capital markets in this environment?
Yeah, one of the things that Michael Harris pointed out on my interview with him, he's the vice chair of NYSE, is that it's not just going public, it's the private market activity, and that the U.S. companies, the international companies are domiciling in the U.S. to go public. There's companies like Commerce Tools out there. You got obviously experience with Spotify. There's a lot of international appetites for capital markets in the U.S. And again, crypto is another one. He mentioned the Circle IPO, the biggest IPO this year. on the NYSE, ironically. So like that was, again, a proof point that the new models are coming. It's not your yesterday's classic case, but you got to be a durable company, and the revenues have to be there. And we're starting to see companies with real revenue hit the scene.
Yeah, real revenue indeed, John. I'm curious in terms of what else is in store. I think this is the first of a two-day event. What else can our viewers expect?
Well, I think you can expect a lot more agentic systems, and one of the big things is business performance. So business model transformation has been a big thing that's coming out of this, where it's not just the technology, it's technologies infused in all aspects of business, from financial services we know every day to our everyday apps. And I think there's going to be a consumer wave coming. So there's a sentiment of consumerization now coming. Enterprise is super hot, as we know, but we're starting to see a lot more signs that this kind of game-changing applications are upon us.
Who are you most looking forward to speaking to?
Well, I was excited to speak with a couple different companies. One was Snowflake, because they created the data cloud market, but that's also the data place there. I thought Michael Harris was awesome this morning. He kind of laid out the capital markets, because that's intersecting with the tech innovation. Of course, we had Google Cloud. We got a lot of great companies. Together AI is one other one. Just some great companies. And of course, you know, the networking here is phenomenal. Behind me, the floor is buzzing. And in the hallway, the conversation is, who do you know? I need to hire someone. Can I get a deal? So it's a lot of business development as well as technology innovation. So it's kind of a melting pot, Kristen, of both. Like, how do I move the needle for my business? How do I hire? And then how do I use the technology to create a category-changing advantage?
Brian Bauman, of course, of the NYSE, who you mentioned is on the ground there, joined me just about a week ago, John, and talked about NYSE Wired and, of course, collaboration with your organization, SiliconANGLE and theCUBE. How does this particular event that you're collaborating on together fit into the bigger goals of what you're trying to do with this community?
Yeah, I mean, for about a year now, theCUBE and NYSE has been partnering, and that formed the Wired community as an open access point ecosystem, and it's an open source philosophy. And the community here in the international world looks a lot like the United States, in the sense that open source software and now collaboration on how people are working is a really big part of it. And the NYSE Wired community that's come together here has been quite a game changer, because it's open, it's trusted, it's authentic, and it's got original content and people. So I think people really value the trust that comes with community, which has been infused in our culture in the tech world, now going mainstream. So I think NYSE Wired represents, I think, this next wave of how people collaborate and get things done.
Yeah. Quickly, John, anything else you can share with us before we have to let you go in Paris?
Well, it's great here. It's a great walking city. The Eiffel Tower, you got all the monuments, the beautiful buildings, the cafes, the food's great, the wine's great, the people are great. We had a cruise on the Seine, so it's been quite the soiree, so it's been fun. But it's been a lot of work, and it's been great. It's been just an amazing time, Kristen. Thanks for asking.
Amazing. John Furrier on the ground in Paris, joining us remotely this morning. John, thanks again. He's the co-CEO of SiliconANGLE and theCUBE.
Thanks, Kristen.
Thank you.